reimagining the delivery workforce. The topic of my conversation today with Peter Schlactus. He's Executive Director and co-founder of A4DD, the Association for Delivery Drivers. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good, and thank you
Thanks
very
for
much
having
for being with me. I really appreciate that. However, I've heard you say that you believe that the weak link, the so-called weak link in the delivery experience is the driver. What are you talking about? Is that indeed an accurate reflection of your belief?
Well, perhaps I misspoke then. I think that the most challenging link, perhaps, is the delivery driver. It's for most of the supply chain, the furthest link away from them, so people have the least control over it. And at a time when the delivery model has migrated more and more towards treating drivers as independent contractors and not employees, what goes along with that is a sacrifice of control and a model where drivers are left to their own devices instead of having an employer provide them with things like training and provisioning them with equipment, et cetera. So at the end of the day, the whole chain is relying on these hardworking, frontline drivers who are not necessarily provisioned and equipped to provide the kind of service and results that the overall supply chain is looking for.
And of course, the solution is not then for the contracting organization to go ahead and provide those services, because the moment they start doing that, you start questioning the independence of the drivers. You run into the possibility of misclassification of the independent operator, right?
That is true, and that's been the case since I first got into the transportation sector back in the early 90s. The one constant has been constant challenges to the independent contractor model. Companies essentially have been left with a bad choice between doing things for the drivers, which risks their independent contractor status and the cost structure that they're delivering to the supply chain, or instead of doing for, they do without. And that leaves the supply chain exposed to subpar service, and more importantly, accidents that negatively impact the driver most of all.
Yeah.
The reticence to insist or incentivize higher standards for delivery drivers puts the drivers at risk. So it's the drivers who are the ones that are least equipped to bear those risks and to overcome those mishaps. It's not good for anyone in the supply chain, but it's worst for the drivers.
Peter, what is an empowered workforce?
So I strongly believe that we are essentially crossing the threshold into a time when all the players in the supply chain can look forward to and really insist on an empowered workforce. And what that means is that even though drivers may be independent contractors, there are easy to access, affordable solutions for them to equip themselves with the things they need to operate compliantly, safely, and successfully.
Tick off some of those for me. What are those things that they need in order to do that?
Well, I think training, that's the dirty T word, but it's a completely different when a driver comes with training credentials versus if a driver is given training by their contracting company. And those training options are being created or already available. Insurance, no matter how well a driver may be trained, accidents will happen. So part of the solution is preventing them, but part of the solution is insulating the rest of the supply chain from those costs. And drivers can now access affordable insurances that cover their work like any other small business. In addition, we have other types of credentialing, background checks, driving records. the ability to create their own businesses, LLC creation, business trade name registration, all the trappings of what any normal business relationship would have. And then, of course, if a driver is going to be financially secure, they're going to have access to gear that, and services like vehicle care, vehicle rentals. If drivers could access those things at the same discounted rates and national fleet rates that the large fleets have, it would significantly improve their ability to make a profit sooner and therefore reduce turnover and increase retention.
Yeah.
And the only thing that is better than training when it comes to service and success is experience. When drivers are turning over so rapidly because they're having trouble making it work from the outset, that just doubles down on the problem.
Yeah, and of course this all secures the status of independent drivers as independent. They can stay that way if they want to.
Exactly. In other words, the solutions that we're talking about need to be solutions that the drivers source for themselves and not solutions that are given to them by a contracting company. But a contracting company can refer a driver to an outside party, especially one that the contracting company is not utilizing as a vendor. For example, a nonprofit association. And that's where we come in.
As that association that makes it possible for them to access those services, or providing those services actually yourself?
So we're like a buffet. Drivers, for barely $1 a week can become members. Once they step in through the door, they're going to have access to several dozen different benefits. Some of them are included at no extra charge with membership. Some of them are offered at significantly discounted rates similar to national fleet discounts. But basically the goal is to be able to offer drivers pretty much all they would need to meet the qualifications and do good quality work. On the side of the delivery companies don't join A4DD. Our members are drivers, but delivery companies join with A4DD to recruit, reward, and retain, and ultimately reimagine the relationship they have with their drivers.
Thank you so much, Peter, for talking to me about this great option for independent drivers, how they can stay healthy, profitable, and independent with the help of these services. Thanks very much for being with me.
Thank you for the opportunity, Bob.
I have been speaking with Peter Schlactus of A4DD, the Association for Delivery Drivers. Thank you very much for watching.